everybody, wherever part of the world you're currently listening to our video blog and soon to be podcast. Didn't check today's date. I think we're hovering around the 22nd or 23rd of May. Just a few more days to go before the end of this month, and we'll be officially in the summer months in June. Anyway, I'm typically walking. As you guys can see, there's a little bit of a change regarding my routine of walking daily and doing my video blog. I figured I'd do a quick video blog while I'm parked in the car and just reflect on some current events that recently caught my attention. Now, I typically pay attention to what's going on around the world and in the US, but specifically this issue that I'm going to bring up to your attention is a fairly strange overreach of power, in my opinion. So I heard that there's a new bill that's been introduced by Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace, which basically create an entitlement proceedings in terms of who is allowed to run for public office. So the entitlement that she wants to introduce is basically a law, a change in the Constitution that prohibits foreign-born American citizens from, you know, serving in the government. As many of you are aware, I don't know if you guys realize this, but many of the founding fathers, there were several of the founding fathers of America that were born abroad because they come from Britain or other parts of Western Europe. Okay, folks. And that's a known fact. Okay, folks, there are Europeans that came to America and helped develop the Constitution and develop the country and secede from the crown that were foreign born. And they were also, you know, senators and public officials. So the entitlement that I'm worried about, given that it's targeting a group of decision makers that have pledged allegiance to America, is now being singled out and obviously discriminated against by an entitlement law, which, you know, is not the best way to, you know, select our decision makers. They have no they have no control over where they were born. They have control over their decisions. And obviously this Miss Nancy Mace has basically lost her credibility to lead, given that she wants an entitlement procedure in which only US born citizens could participate in serving their home country. So that's just not the way to go. Look at what's going on in Capitol Hill. We have US born decision makers that are constantly making poor decisions and are constantly destroying the country. So basically what she wants is that the only people that should be allowed to destroy the country are those that were born in the country, essentially. And she wants to create this entitlement in which only those that were born in the US are entitled to serve or destroy America, essentially. All right, folks. Now, I kind of understand where she's coming from, given that there were, you know, foreign born decision makers and politicians in the country that basically created a major mess um, in our country. But those were a minority, and most of them are isolated cases. A vast majority of foreign born decision makers and politicians in America are looking out for the best interests of their home country, America. But when a very problematic and ill conceived and short, sighted policy is being introduced by a congresswoman that comes from a southern state, okay, that really isn't all that wealthy to begin with, isn't all that educated, and isn't all that powerful in terms of making a positive difference as a country in general. I mean, Nancy Mace came from a state that hasn't really done much for this whole country, and yet she wants to change the Constitution that was written by foreign born American, Europeans, and founding fathers of this country, just because she thought that those that she's trying to influence and basically remove from power uh, would be affected by this policy and law that she's trying to share throughout the country, not just in her state, but throughout the country. So I just thought I'd talk about this because, I'm all for removing decision makers in our government that are poor decision makers via election, remove them in the electoral process, okay, regardless where they're born. That really has nothing to do with anything. They have control over their actions and policies and decisions. So that's something that I wanted to talk to you guys about, because you know what, folks, uh, there are poor decision makers in America. Majority of them are okay with their decisions, because as long as it's not affecting other people, they're willing to crank out those laws and do all corrupt things that would adversely affect the general population. And that's just the sad reality of it all, you know and that's why you should vote them out, especially career politicians. And so this lady is a career politician, Nancy Mace. I used to like her. I used to respect her judgment. But after she rolled out this very divisive and asinine and unproductive law that she probably didn't really think about much, or did not reflect on very much, given that we live in a very diverse society, in a very diverse country, um, still went ahead and proposed her, quote unquote, bill. I don't know if it's going to pass. It's probably not going to pass. It's just that I thought I, talk about it, because a lot of what she basically opened up in terms of this Pandora box is going to aggravate the current condition among our people, among our population, because it gives very little confidence to those that are serving in government, uh, that you know um, overall trust in our system. So she's in her, 40s, mid 40s, similar age as I am, but she hasn't really done a whole lot with her life other than being stuck in her home state and doing, stuff that she's comfortable in doing. Uh, and so she doesn't really realize that the country is extremely diverse. And not only that, um, what she mentioned and have been promoting is extremely counterproductive in uniting our society and people. What she's done is basically create more mistrust among our people and more divisiveness in politics. And I don't know if she's going to be seen by her own colleagues in government as a credible leader, because essentially she's trying to divide a unit, which is our government, and those that are serving in our government. Okay, folks. And I don't want to, say that she's got ill will. I'm not, you know, faulting her for creating a policy. I do fault her for going forward with it without consulting with other decision makers. There should be, a major consensus in which something what she's proposing have been discussed openly, not just in her home state, but throughout the country, and get the opinion of the public, not just the opinion of 12 or 17, whatever number of um, Congress, House representatives that she managed to influence with this very counterproductive, asinine, and idiocratic law. Now, I am a conservative, and I tend to lean towards, a lot of conservative values, protecting our borders, making sure that we also, only allow citizens to vote, and promote diplomacy and conflicts around the world. Uh, you know, I tend to lean in the conservative side on major issues. Okay, um, right to bear arms, you know, uh, and marriage between a man and a woman, very conservative values. But I do realize that there are changes in society and in the world, and I am willing to consider those changes, um, and review, the pros and cons to the overall ramifications or benefits of those changes. Now, Miss Mays, who graduated from the military institution, I believe. I'm not sure if it's VMI or some other military institution. She has really been more in tune with the military before becoming um, a congresswoman. I think she also worked at a restaurant, and the typical Southern upbringing, which is similar to what I was influenced with growing up in Virginia. But what I did with my career and education is basically, transition into a higher form of learning. I immerse myself to things that I'm not in or familiar with, and also reviewed other, school of thoughts and value systems, and made a comparison between what is something that is close to what I believe in and is aligned with my heart and mind, which, I believe conservatism is very closely aligned with my heart and mind. But I also know that we live in a very diverse country and society, and alienating people on, for no really good reason, is not the way to go. Okay, as a leader. So with that said, folks, I just thought I opine quickly and briefly on this new bill that has been introduced by a Republican, um, you know, House representative that, I simply did not quite understand or agree with. As a Republican, I am running as a Republican candidate. And so that just shows you that not everybody in the same party agrees, and don't, overly judge people based on their party, judge people based off of their, history, their life history, their career paths, and what they're engaged in, and what they're now sharing on their social media platforms. That's how you should judge people. Don't judge them based on party. A party consists of people that tend to identify uh, with each other's, commonality, but not all of them, you know, agree with everything. And so that's just the reality of things, folks. Um, have the wisdom, have the wherewithal, and have some sort of uh, compassion, okay? Because at this point in the game, there's this thing. If you allow yourself to be stuck on stupid, then you'll bring others with you, and you will fall together. And that's the reality of things. Do not allow yourself to be stuck on stupid. Okay, folks? With that said, thank you so much. Oh, okay. Worry about your health, and things will get better. Okay, so it's okay. All right, Josh James. Thank you for your message. I appreciate it. Um, with that said, folks, I'm gonna sign off here now. I didn't mean to, keep on going with this particular subject. I just thought I'd reflect on it and have you guys, opine if it's something that resonates with you. Um, with this said, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share our channel with your family and friends. Let us know if you have any other suggestions for us to talk about a specific topic. Until we meet again, you take care. Bye bye.